Okay, I just found a trampoline where I'm staying, so I just want to take a moment to bounce a little bit with you. Roll around. Oh. Wow. Trampoline. Ah. The wind is quite loud, so I wonder if you can hear me okay. But here I am trying to interview myself. Whoa, tears from the wind. Wow. Okay. Talk about being real. So cool. Here we are. Super excited to interview myself. A little bit awkward and nervous, and thought about doing it in a mirror, and instead I'm gonna just do it right here. I am, as usual, in a place that's not my home, that I didn't create. I am someone who travels around a ton from place to place. I just take a second. So my first question that I ask people is, so who are you? Tell us who you are. So I am Alyssa Lyons, and I'm creating this site called Insights on Intimacy. And this feels like the right place to be at this moment in this creation project. Lots of different identities that I have and have had have led me up to this point, as I'm sure have led you all up to whatever points you're in. So I am an artist of all kinds. I like to do all sorts of artwork as a process to express. I'm someone who's super interested in all kinds of communication. Maybe not all kinds, many kinds of communication. I am a dancer. I've always been dancing all my life. Lots of different styles. I like to fuse styles. Fundamentally, I think I'm a connector. Like, I was that girl on the playground that was like talking to the boys and the girls and finding out how to play together and who was going to run after who, and boys chase girls, and what kind of punishment or activity wanted to be happening. When you caught Josh, let's say, Josh wanted to be ridden like a horse as a punishment, and he got to create that. So that's fun. So I was that person that was connecting groups of people together, and again, I think that I'm still that. I'm supposedly a reflector, which is someone who shows up in a space and sees what's there and is able to let people know what they see. I'm a teacher. I've done a lot of different kinds of teaching, movement and language, and bilingual education. I have a master's in elementary education with a focus on bilingual, and have been dancing and choreographing and teaching mostly contact improvisation in the last 10 years. I'm a traveler and have kind of one of my superpowers. I like to ask people what their superpowers are. One of my superpowers is making people think that I belong in whatever community we share at that moment. Sometimes I've been surprised at moments when they think I belong and I actually don't, but I've been giving it my all to find a way to contribute in that space and to learn from the people in that community, so that somehow that often lets them know that I belong there, or helps them come to that conclusion. I love being a friend. I think I'm an addict of touch. I love body work. I do Thai massage mostly, and I love contact improvisation and partner dance forms like tango and salsa, merengue, bachata. I love the sense of who I am in relation to someone else. And that is really one of my interests, is like, who am I in relation to this space, in relation to this person, in relation to this community, this environment. That was the dog that just sneezed. In relation, right? and also how can I facilitate or hold space for people to shine and come forward in and of themselves, in their best self, and in a space where they can continue to better themselves in whatever way they're working on. So being a choreographer led me to support other people's artistry and specialty to come forward. That would be the way that I created work for the stage. And I facilitate that in teaching, and I facilitate that now as a life coach. So I'm most recently really involved in training with the Academy of Coaching Excellence that Maria Nemeth created with a number of amazing colleagues. And she and her teacher and the teachers of that program that I'm involved in are really opening my eyes to a lot of ways of seeing what's going on, what are the patterns or ways that I'm interacting with my environment that keep coming back, and helping me to question whether those are supporting me or whether I want to continue those or change my direction or my perspective. And then finding action steps of what I want to do from here to shift or to contribute more or to be more creative or whatever the goal is that I'm recognizing. So I'm super excited to be involved in coaching and to be offering coaching and to be training and getting coaching as a way of adding to my different lenses or perspectives of seeing the world that I've learned up until now and continue to learn. And yeah, that's a long answer to the first question of who am I. I'm also someone who's very invested in relationships and have tried monogamy, have tried many different kinds of open relationships or polyamory, and those have been ongoing, powerful experiments of how do I show up to communicate and to connect and to contribute. And I'm still investigating that. And so one of the things I just love is to ask people questions and find out what kind of questions brings them out. And as you'll explore, or you're invited to explore this website as a way to learn about people and learn and get a little glimpse of what is it that they're interested in around intimacy and how have they come to know and understand what they know and understand at this point in their life. And this to me is just so fun, and I get so excited after interviewing people because it's just opening up a treasure box of ideas and resources and vulnerability and celebration, and look how they've come to this place that they're at now. And that is just such a pleasure and an honor to be in a role where I get to travel around in my normal life that is pretty ridiculously awesome in that I get to meet so many cool people in different contexts. And then when I see someone that is like, wow, this person's got something around who they are, their life purpose, what is communication for them, how do they bring themselves and their best self forward, that I get to interview them. And this project brings me a lot of joy, and I'm excited to share it with you. And the vision for the project, so I'll get a little bit more focused here. The vision for the project is to explore 3 levels of intimacy. The first level is, I'm going to let my hair out in the wind for a moment. So the first level of intimacy that I'm looking at is something called self-intimacy. And my perspective has led me to ask questions that are, there's a range of questions, and I see which one the interviewee grabs onto. And so after the initial question of who are you, what identities do you want to share at this moment, the second question is there a moment in your life that was a aha moment, a realization, moment when you totally understood you had a yes to something, or totally understood you had a no to something, or that you knew who you were. There was a nice sense of identity, clarity of purpose in life. And people are choosing from those options to answer. That's kind of the first way in that I'm interested in, is finding stories of people. And the vision here is really, how can stories and people's intimate sharings around intimacy with themselves inspire you as the viewers to share your stories, to consider a new possibility of how to find your self-connection, or to maybe look into specific resources that that person's sharing has led you to come to find. So after watching a video, you'll see that there are links to different books or videos or classes or any kind of schooling, learning opportunity that that person found to help them come to this place of growth or this place of understanding. So that is part of my hope, is that you'll be able to be inspired in a way that moves you forward. And I am observing people around me in their abilities to have big visions, and then what happens when they get stuck, what happens when they stop themselves, and how do we move past that point of stopping ourselves and challenge ourselves into a new approach, a new way, something that helps us get past that border where we previously stopped ourselves in order to make our vision more of a reality. And everybody has a different answer to this, and coaching is one way to support people to find it, and movement is another way, and you'll see kink and environmental performance and all sorts of answers that people have that I'm super excited to share with you through this website. So let's see if I want to answer this question. This question is there a moment in my life when I had a clarity of who I am that was helping me to move forward? And there was a moment in Venezuela. I studied in Venezuela in 2002 as part of my focus on studying Spanish in college. And I remember sitting on a hammock and being a part of this amazing host family that just was a huge, boisterous, loving, loud, vulgar, touchy, embodied family of people that had they were living on the coast, on the Caribbean coast of Venezuela. My family was quite brown skin and quite robust, large bodies. Some of them might be called obese. And they were just so different from my kind of European, American, and British Puritan East Coast of the U.S. Very small insular family upbringing that was, just not that, not that loud, boisterous scenario. It was so fascinating. So in this family in Venezuela, they just had cousins and cousins of cousins and aunts and uncles, and everybody would just stop by whenever and ask for a coffee and sit down and have a little chat and then go on their way in this small village. And so you never knew who was going to walk in the door, but you knew there were going to be many, many people walking through the door every day. And so I just had this moment of clarity when I was sitting on a hammock, drinking a little coffee, and realizing that I didn't have to study and I didn't have to do anything more. I could just sit and I could just be drinking my coffee and absorbing the surrounding, just listening in, just listening to the way people were talking to each other, and and talking sometimes back to them and just looking at their gestures. Like, it felt like everything that was around was rich and perfect the way it was, and a learning opportunity, and that I didn't have to try and do anything. I didn't have to be active in any extra way. And this was huge for me because I, up until then, in high school especially, was very involved in the dance community. And in the dance community, at that time, people started counting calories. It was the late 90s. And, dancers were saying how, this is so great, this piece of gum only has 15 calories and it feels like eating. So there was a lot of challenging messages around body image and health, and a lot of people around me were moving in the direction of anorexia and bulimia. And instead of going in a food direction of controlling myself, feeling in control of my choices, I moved in the direction of being obsessed with time. And this was where that moment of realization in Venezuela some years later, four years later, that led me to I don't have to plan, I don't have to keep track in a certain way, because up until then I was really, really extreme in needing to be productive. And productive at that time meant, every minute of my day needed to be used to learn this many vocabulary words in Spanish, or go to the market and, buy this kind of food. Everything had to be exact and had to be doing something. And I needed to go to this many dance classes and be this fit, etc., etc. So this moment was really powerful because it was just an aha moment, like, I can slow down. This is enough. I'm good, just like this. And I can take in so much just by sitting here and trusting that I'll learn what I need to learn through immersion. And since then, I've had so many more realizations, but that moment was a powerful one. When I came back to the US after that point, I was like, oh man, this is so easy. Everybody's talking English. I'm bored. Like, how can I just be again in this interaction and also feel like I'm challenging myself to the degree that I want? So I actually realized that the step in Venezuela was powerful as a step, but then when I changed contexts, I needed to upgrade my my version of self-awareness and the strategy I was using to get into the moment rather than planning too much ahead. Because it was too easy in English, I wanted to be doing something again, and so then I had to recalibrate, what am I doing, and how can I do that in a way that feels easeful and supports me to be now here. Yeah, that was a moment that I felt was really powerful for me in my process of letting go of needing to be doing so much and moving toward being more. And I still am on that path. I'm still searching for that balance of being and doing. And ultimately, nowadays, I feel like reminding myself, as Maria Nemeth says often, and people in this ACE, Academy of Coaching Excellence, say, all is well. All is well. What is it like if I imagine that all is well? Right now might be really cold, but it's fine. Nothing is problematic here. All is well. Even when things are challenging, all is well. So that is the first question I wanted to ask myself. It's funny to be both the interviewer and the interviewee. The second element around self-intimacy, around insights on intimacy. So the second element around insights on intimacy that I'm interested in is how do we communicate what we understand as important elements of self-intimacy to others. And I think this website is a new version of that. I've made some videos and I co-directed the film called 5 Ways In, which was an ethnographic interview and documentary film process that taught me a lot. I worked with Mike Polterak and Sonia Buhlman, so both Swiss and British contact improvisers. And Mike is an anthropologist and a teacher. And so that process helped me to learn more about how to use film and interviews to find out really what's going on with someone inside. And up until now, I've really spent a lot of time talking to the person and investigating what it would be like to ask these questions to them, and if they're open to that, and what they might think about sharing. And that conversation usually happens after we have a shared experience at a dance festival or in a training, or hanging out as friends, or a friend, connected us to each other. And this means that I'm very much involved. It's not a dry interview. It's one that comes out of a trusting relationship. And I think that's important to acknowledge here, and acknowledge that video is a form that you really get to see my gestures and what I'm thinking or doing in a more intimate way than if you were just listening to my voice, which is an option. You could just listen to my voice, but I think the way that I'm interested in people showing up for you and also for themselves and for me is a deeper, kind of more vulnerable, open place because of the content that I'm interested in sharing. So all that is to say, I am excited about this project because I think that film and questions and human connection can lead us to this sharing of stories and information that can deepen our sense of motivation, inspiration to move on and to move forward in ourselves and in our communities, so that we stay connected, so that we stay motivated, so that change making is more possible, rather than feeling stuck or discouraged or frustrated. And while all of those are possible to feel, I don't negate those as part of the process. I think that what I'm interested in here is really offering a way forward. And that's my intention. And so this website is my current and newest way of supporting people to find clarity with themselves. And so far, what's really fun is that after each interview, the person who's been interviewed feels like, or at least the feedback they've given me is like, wow, that was really fun. That was something. That was powerful for me to share all that. And thanks for hearing that. And so, even if none of you wanted to watch these, the process has been contributing to my life through being the questioner and hearing people's stories and connections with them. And the people that have been sharing have felt value in the process. From a nonviolent communication perspective, it's a sense of being seen and heard, right? And I think that's a human need of finding connection and finding a sense of purpose and being seen and heard by someone and having your stories valued. And there's another level of value when there's a video camera and a potential other audience that will watch you and listen to you and hear what you have to say. So I'm going to pause there and just acknowledge that I have enjoyed so much this process of sharing my vision for this website, and I hope that it reaches people that are interested and ready to look at and hear different people's perspectives and stories and find new resources to turn to. And if you feel inspired to be interviewed by me or by a camera or by a friend, it's also an awesome process just to play with and feel that your stories have so much validity and contribution in our world today, because we really can connect and understand on an intimate level, and with ourselves recognize with a deeper sense of awareness what is really been the situation or the moments or the physical sensations that have led me to like clarity, ease, moving forward, and how can I tap into that in order to keep bringing that into my next interactions. So that's what my vision is for this project, and also what my life experience keeps leading me to. And I'm so grateful for so many people in my life to support me, to have such a adventurous, rich life where I get to meet just phenomenal, diverse people that are all exploring intimacy in their own ways. And those who share it with me, I feel really grateful for you to come forward and reveal something important to you with the rest of us through this process. So I just want to end right now with a huge thank you to all of you who are contributing to me and my life and the lives that I get to touch, and those people get to touch, and spread the inspiration. Thank you so much for listening. Talk to you soon.